So hello and welcome to another episode of Good Fat Life, right? And my guest today is Jean Marie Moffa, who is our development curator, content for the magazine. Well, actually for all things Good Fat Life. And we have been getting ready for our next issue, and we're going through some past issues and just... so just full disclosure, I read stuff. I look at the older issues, and I'm like, man, that was so interesting. It was just so good. And it's kind of like you don't want to do it over again, but the point is it's good stuff.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that have really changed my life, the trajectory of my life. And so we decided that we would just do a little special kind of a podcast today and relive some of that.
Sure.
Or highlight some of that. But today we were going to focus on books, right? Mm-hmm. But one thing I want to say before we get started on that is one of the big things that we talk about often is movement, right? Mm-hmm. Getting movement. And Jean Marie and I both have fallen in love with Pilates. Mm-hmm. And actually, one of our friends has just completed her 500th Pilates class, which is just mind-boggling. I think.
Where are you, by the way? I've been meaning to ask you.
I don't know. I haven't looked.
I'm at 58.
I'm probably at 200 and something,
Okay.
but I'm a year ahead of you.
Yeah.
But 500, she's going like every day.
Yeah.
And which is so cool. But what I wanted to bring up about it, in addition to the fact that we love it, is we've now had to learn to dress differently, right?
Yes.
It's like Jean Marie was saying, I had to wear clothes today that I could have my workout clothes underneath my run around clothes so that you can
Get my workout in.
get your workout in and get your business done.
Yes.
It needs to be done.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And
I've never lived this way before in my whole life.
Me
It's
neither.
amazing.
Me neither.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool way to live.
Highly recommend.
And it's just kind of like one of many like little, well, let's call them the 1% changes, right? It was a little change that became a little bigger change, right? And so now, but they all started as kind of 1%ers, and they've become ways of life. So let's talk about books. Okay. So we talk about books all the time, and I thought it would be good to kind of just do a little kind of review on the books, some of the books that have really made a difference. And I will let you start.
Okay.
And then I'll go.
Okay. So the first book that I wanted to talk about, actually we spoke about before, and it's been featured in the magazine, and it's called New Happy by Stephanie Harrison, Getting Happiness Right in a World That's Got It Wrong. And this is an incredible book. Stephanie has her background in psychology and then is also a visual artist. And what she does on her Instagram feed and her podcast and her blog, I guess not her podcast, but her blog, is she puts research into basic elements of life that really help us all become healthier and happier. And her premise is that we have built our lives on something called old happy, which is false. It's things like you're never good enough, so keep working harder. You're on your own. This is all about you. You're things that just don't truly bring us happiness. Getting the job, getting the this. These are all elements of happy. But anyway, so she breaks it down through lots and lots of research, and she does these visuals on her in her regular daily work that have really crystallized a lot of perhaps complex things, and the images stick with me, and I'm able to remember some very, very important life lessons and take them with me in very clear ways without any issue at all, honestly. So the book is her compilation of a lot of this work, and there's so much research that goes into it. This isn't all woo-woo stuff. And she has so much research that she can't even include it in the book. And she gives you references as to where you can get to that research. But it's an amazing book. And she is an amazing person. We developed a relationship through her work I did with her Instagram presence with my students at Brighton High School, and she spoke with the students, and it was an amazing experience.
Oh, I remember you when that happened. You were saying that you were just so gobstopped almost with how the students received what she had to say and how present she was with them, and her message just resonated so deeply with them.
Yes, and her work is extremely accessible, and it is so powerful. And even just as I was driving here this morning, I was thinking about something that I was struggling with yesterday. And yesterday I went to bed upset with myself about a particular thing. And then as I was preparing for today and thinking about it and just had even the book in my hands, I reminded myself, I don't have to think about it that way. I can be compassionate towards myself. And in fact, I can recognize that what I'm going through is something that is a shared humanity and that other people go through it. And it's a normal life challenge. And it totally shifted my energy.
It does. Because then it's like, okay, this is just part of being alive and it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm not weird or unusual or the only one who ever felt like this. And
right.
Yeah.
So I can't recommend this book enough.
Oh, good. Yeah. Okay, The New Happy. And so we'll have all of this in the show notes to make it easy for people, right? And for those of you who read Good Fat Life regularly, there all are books that, not all of them. Most of them.
I have a kind of a surprise finish.
Jean Marie has she has a surprise, which is fine. So maybe we need to put it in the book as a recommendation, right?
You don't have to, but you give me free rein, and I just went with it.
Well, I do, because it's, I have to say, I'm in 3 book clubs now. I've never been in book clubs in my life. And I'm enjoying them immensely because I'm reading things I would have never read before. I'm surrounded by primarily women, but who love to read, and reading, it just expands your mind so much, right? And it's just, I look so forward to it. And it's almost like I needed that as an excuse to read some fiction that I love, but I just never would give myself the permission to do it.
Sure.
Right? Because it always had to be about learning something.
Right.
So anyway, okay, can't wait. Okay, so my first book is The Glucose Goddess. And this is the method book. There's another book that's more facts, data, research, science. This one is the fun one. It's kind of like it's a 4-week guide to cutting cravings, getting your energy back, and feeling amazing. But I will tell you that this book has literally changed my life and has literally changed my body chemistry, because I was at a 5.7 on my A1C for like the last 20 years. Well, 5.7 is borderline type 2 diabetes. You're not quite there, but you're just on the fringe. And so I would always say, well, that's just how I am. That's how I'm wired. That's who I am, right? Well, reading this book and making some very simple changes, like apple cider vinegar before a meal, a tablespoon in half a cup of water, drinking that before a meal, eating a vegetable or salad before I eat protein or carbs, walking, moving, dancing, running up and down the stairs for a few minutes after I eat. And this is not for every meal. It's just like one meal a day. My A1C, the last tested, was 5.4, and if my glucose monitor is saying it should be about a 5.0 now.
That's amazing.
But Jean Marie, the cool thing is, I don't feel like I deprived myself in any way. I just switched it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Based on all the science about how our body digests food.
Right.
And I feel amazing. And so anyways, and everybody who's done this has had some results change. And so the research all says now the lower your A1C, like getting to a 5.0 is really giving your body a break on so many ways.
Well, those glucose spikes that she helps you, I have this book as well, and those glucose spikes that you're avoiding, they're causing like a cascade of issues in our bodies. And in fact, it's because of this that I chose to wear a glucose monitor, and because of conversations with you for a little bit, and I'm in and out with it. I'm going to go back to it here shortly. and just to see, like, what am I eating? How's it affecting my body? And it is profound. When so many things that we eat in a part of a standard American diet, and honestly, I eat super healthfully, but I still, even something like oatmeal, for example, you probably have heard me say, I will never give up oatmeal. I love it so much. Well, I don't eat oatmeal right now. And I'm sure there's a way to do it, but it takes my blood sugar and goes through the roof. And every time that happens, there's an insulin reaction, there's inflammation, there's fat storage, there's all kinds of things going on. So it is in our best interest to learn how can we keep those spikes lower, and that's what you've done.
Right. Well, and I found the same thing. But I did find if I drank the apple cider vinegar before eating something like oatmeal, it made all the difference.
Yeah.
Or, eat broccoli before you eat your oatmeal.
Right.
And so anyways, and one of the things that was hysterical, and I love her sense of humor. She's just so practical, but she's truly a scientist. Yeah. And she likes pictures too. Is how do you carry your apple cider vinegar around, right?
Yeah.
It was a challenge, and so she suggests having a flask. And so Jean Marie did the research, and we found these great flasks that you can just carry around with your apple cider vinegar, right?
Yes.
And it's fun.
Yes.
And this is what the other thing I love about this book and about her is it's fun. She makes it fun. It's not like, oh, how do I have to deprive myself of
it's all about eating what you want to eat. Yeah.
Right.
Just doing it in a different way.
Just doing it and tweaking it a little, and it makes all the difference. Okay, you're up.
Okay. My next book, we're on the food topic. Okay. So I actually have two books that are related, but they're by the same author. So this book is called An Everlasting Meal, and it's by Tamar Adler. And she used to cook at Chez Panisse with Alice Waters.
Oh, wow. And on the West Coast in Berkeley.
Yeah. And Alice wrote the foreword. And this is for anyone who loves food and for anyone who loves words. This is an incredible book. So the premise of the book is just how to eat well and how to use all the different things that are in our kitchen. And it's I'm going to read. I think the best thing I can do is just read a couple quick passages so that you understand. So here, and in fact, Alice Waters says, this is a book to sink into and read deeply, relishing the quiet way Tamar fits profundity into the smallest of moments. Okay, so here's an example. On the subject of salt. The noodle or tender spring pea would be narcissistic to imagine it already contained within its cell walls all the perfection it would ever need. We seem, too, to fear that we are failures at being tender and springy if we need to be seasoned. It's not so. It doesn't reflect badly on a pea or a person that either needs help to be most itself. And so she writes about different things. Her chapters have really fun names. Like one of them, it was a revelation to me on the chapter How to Light a Room, is all about herbs. And it's an ode to parsley. And I had some in my fridge that night, and I had some leftover rice. And she just talks simply about, just throw some parsley into some leftover rice and it will be a revelation. And it was. And she is just, there's recipes sprinkled through, and it is an absolute joy to read. And she is a master chef that just is about the simplicity. This is all about simplicity, like really just simple things we can do to nourish ourselves, souls, and our bodies.
Oh my gosh.
It's a phenomenal book.
I need that book.
You do. I realize that I need to get to.
Yes.
Okay.
And so this is a cookbook?
Yeah. So I was up in Traverse City at a restaurant I'd always been wanting to go to called Farm Club. It's a really interesting food-to-table restaurant. And they had this little shop in there, and I saw this book, which I recognized the title immediately. It's the same title. It's her. It's the same thing. And I loved the artwork. And then it's a cookbook. So she focuses a lot on what to do with leftovers and how nourishing leftovers are and things. So this is like a follow-up to the book I just mentioned, where you can tab through and find different ingredients that you have hanging around in your house and be inspired to make something simple and beautiful with it, like on the fly. And it's a bit more accessible from a recipe standpoint. The first one is still super inspirational, but it's also just like a really good read.
Oh my gosh.
And this one is like, okay, let's go.
Okay.
And so I just think they're amazing.
Oh my gosh. Okay. How fun are those? Yes, I need both of those in my life. And I think those would be great to do reviews for this upcoming issue.
Sure.
Right? Okay. All right. So this one is called E Squared by Pam Grout. And she is hysterical in her writing. She just has such a way with words and a sense and ability. But it's about 9 do-it-yourself energy experiments that prove your thoughts create your reality. And so this too is not a this too is got a lot of research behind it. But yet there's some fun woo-woo to it too, right? But
I always love a good fun woo-woo.
right? But the point is, we are being communicated with whatever your beliefs are about all day long. It can come in, through a song lyric on the radio, by a phone call from a long-lost friend. The trick is to pay attention, trust, and I will continue to read. Focus your full attention on what you want. It's kind of like, we all know that if I say, look for a red car, suddenly you'll see a red car, right? Mm-hmm. But if I say, look for a red car, and then I say, how many brown cars did you see or white cars did you see? You wouldn't have seen any because you would be focusing on that red car. And that's really how our brains work and how we create. Mm-hmm. And it's so much fun. Like I said, there's 9 experiments, and like the dude abides principle. Right? The abracadabra principle. So she just has the Dear Abby principle. She's just got the superhero principle. And so they're all just kind of like this little protocol that you follow. And generally they're for 48 hours. And you decide what it is that you want to manifest. And, or what 3 things or whatever. And she goes through it.
I want to do that
It
too.
is so
I need
much
that
fun.
book too.
I cannot tell you how many things have come into my life that have been like, where I'm just kind of like speechless, gobstopped, because it works. Mm-hmm. So anyways, that's mine. So what's your next one?
All right. So this one is an outlier.
Okay.
In fact, it's an Outlander. So I brought a piece of fiction in. And so a little background, I have read tons of literature. I've studied French, British comparative literature. Like I get good literature and I love good literature. And I preface that because I think a little part of me reading the Outlander series felt like, well, is it good literature enough per se? Well, I'm here to tell you that this is a fantastic series. And so a friend of mine from school introduced me to Outlander, and many people it's been around for decades. I mean, the author has been writing. She has one last book to publish. The series is wildly popular on Starz. But why I decided to talk about it today is because I've quite a few reasons, but I think the feeling of just diving into another world is very therapeutic. And this book presents a lot of challenges and, how shall I say it, opportunities to look at contrasting worlds. And I think even in our present day life now, where it's an election year, there's all kinds of contrasting views out there. This book is a testimony to the coexistence of radically different things and how it can work. And so it is a time travel book, and the 2 main characters in the book are essentially perfect humans. I mean, they're people that we would all aspire to be. Mm-hmm. And we learn from their mistakes, and we see their growth, and we are encouraged on our own path. I found that I've also really loved historical fiction, and it just opens worlds to me. In fact, I was thinking about this morning when I was in, last summer I got a chance to travel a good bit, and I was in Budapest, and I was just blown away by how much I had no idea of the history of that area. And I was just blown away by how much history we just don't learn.
Yeah, it's rich.
It's rich.
Yeah.
And so Outlander has opened me up to Scottish history, British history, and American history, and Caribbean history. It goes through all these places, and it's given me a whole sense of wonder for what people went through in these eras. It's just been a wonderful journey. And the author, Diana Gabaldon, has done a tremendous amount of research, tremendous, linguistically, historically, Native American research, on and on and on and on. Right. And so it's been a great opportunity for me to gain a window into worlds that I didn't know as much about, and to want to pursue other learning.
Sure. And that's the point of reading, right? Is
Yeah.
it takes you somewhere that you wouldn't have gone.
Yeah.
Safely.
Yeah.
I remember, as you were talking about this, I remember reading, it has been around for decades, hasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, because I remember a passage, it's so random, but where she was going back in time and telling the people that they needed to use toothpicks to floss their teeth.
Yeah.
Right? And that was at a time where I hadn't gotten the habit of flossing regularly daily. Mm-hmm. And then I was working on getting it done. Mm-hmm. And when I read that, and it was like, oh my gosh, my teeth could fall out.
Oh, yeah. She refers to that occasionally, how she's one of the few older women around who has a great set of teeth.
Right. And it's because she flossed. And it's just so funny, the things that you remember. And I remember there was some really hot scenes at the beginning.
Oh, yeah,
and stuff.
Yeah. They're steamy, well, throughout. So you have to understand, and that's probably why I prefaced it all, because it's there's plenty of steam here. But there's also plenty of other stuff.
But remember that, just that, oh my gosh, how people lived, how they fed themselves, how they kept warm. Mm-hmm. It was fascinating. Mm-hmm. It's just a fascinating. So yes, of course, we need fiction in our lives too. Historical fiction is the best.
I love it. I love historical fiction. I brought that as an inspiration.
I think that's.
I didn't start reading Outlander until a couple of years ago, and then I just made a deep dive, and it's been really fun.
That's the best. Again, that's the best of reading. What I love about this is there's such a cross-section variety, but at the end of the day, what's common about everything here is we feel good when we read.
Yeah,
right?
And we're exploring new things. And I mean, this has opened up my eyes to wanting to go to Scotland, my own family history in Scotland, what clan my family was in, what the history of that clan was, where it's located in Scotland. It's opened me up to cooking some new foods, to really, really fun. In fact, on my my own little Instagram feed, I have some Scottish fruitcakes that I made based on a Scottish cookbook that I began, a chef I began following, a baker, after having gotten into this. I mean, it's just like, it's fun. One thing leads to another.
That it does. And that's what makes all of this so much fun. And again, what gets me up in the morning is like that, you just don't know what's going to come, right? It's kind of, it's living our good fat life. And that's why we have to go do our Pilates.
Yes, we do. And I'm ready.
and monitor our blood sugar so that we don't have all that inflammation going on.
And use up our parsley.
And use up our parsley. Right. So on that happy note, I just want to do a quick shout out for one of my favorite self-care companies, and that's Snedecor's Cleaners. I can't tell you what comfort it is to me to know that I can just throw my stuff, I just sent out my comforters, because before they sent out these promotions, I forgot about doing my comforters, right? They're just too big to wash in your wash machine. So I sent them out and had them all clean, and they've come back, and they're just like, when you go to a European B&B or then they have those big fluffy, that's how they came back. They're just like fluffy and fresh. And it's like, oh yeah, I guess you do need to wash these on a more regular basis. So that's it. Yeah. One of my little secrets. Time goes by so fast and I just forget.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so I just appreciate that I can just put everything out on a bag, and they have some great campaigns to remind you to do that with some good sales too. So Snetter Course Cleaners, check them out. Okay, so the last thing is check out goodfatlife.com. We've got some really fun events coming up. Our More Wonder Please Fall in Love with Yourself event is September 14th, and that's going to be a ton of fun. Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun. And just, again, a reminder how important it is that we take care of ourselves. Because if we're not good, the people around us don't get the best of us. Right?
And that often begins with showing ourselves some compassion, I think.
Exactly. We'll start there, right? We'll start there. So on that happy note, thank you so much for being here today and sharing all the fun stuff. And yeah, I think I just got some new books in my library. My husband says no more books. I'm banned from bringing books in the house, but oh well.
It's a joy, profound one.
There are worse things, right? So go out and live today your good fat life.